All right, fellas, let's wrap things up here. It is our Sunday evening football game. It is the Chiefs and the Bills. We are looking at expensive 2.5s and cheap 3s on the Bills out there. 45.5 is our total. Steven, this is a Bills squad that kind of changed its identity once they changed offensive coordinators throughout the course of the season, became a little bit more run heavy, played a little bit more ball control style of offense. And then I've been the first one to rag on this Chiefs offense all year long. I'm still not going to say that one piece of sample size, one game of sample size is going to change my mind. I still am not jumping up and down about this Chiefs team at all, despite the fact that Rashee Rice did end up going nuclear last week. And maybe they have finally figured out a wide receiver one there. It only took them a whole season to figure it out. But here we are, 2.5 or 3, 45.5 is the total. Anything in your account?
I have Bills AFC futures from 2 months ago, and I think I'm screwed this week. I think the Bills are, had about as bad of a outcome in that Steelers game as they could have had despite winning the game. They have way too many injuries this week for me to ignore. Stephon Diggs is apparently now dealing with something. Sean McDermott said he would be limited at best on Friday in practice. Gabe Davis looks like he's not going to play. On the defensive side of the ball, cluster injuries at linebacker. Teron Johnson is still in the concussion protocol. Now, he has always passed the protocol in the same week, despite the fact that multiple concussions, he's had like 5 of them. Apparently, the average time to come back from a second or subsequent concussion is 12 days, and he's coming back in the same week every single time. So, Bills must have the magic concussion test up in Buffalo. But it is good that Rasul Douglas is probably going to be back, their top corner here. I think Travis Kelce is going to eat in this game. He's already been really successful over and over again in like 6 games against the Chiefs or against the Bills since 2020. And now that was with Matt Milano most of the time, as Mo noted, super Chiefs fan on our staff. And Matt Milano is on IR. Most of their other linebackers are banged up now. So I bet over 60.5 receiving yards on Travis Kelce. I teased up the Chiefs in a couple different spots. I took the 3 when it was available, but at this point, I would have no issues betting Chiefs money line here against the Buffalo Bills. I think you are now looking at a Bills defense that is closer to what we saw before their bye week when they had a bunch of injuries then as well. And this from week 1 to 12 before their bye week, the Buffalo defense was 14th in EPA and they were 19th in success rate. And now they have to face Patrick Mahomes. So I think this is just bad timing for Buffalo, who also has 2 fewer days to prepare for this game than Kansas City did.
Yeah, Adam, as I mentioned earlier, I took the Chiefs up 5 points in just an alt line parlay. So I kind of like whatever, choose your own teaser type thing. So I took them up 5 points to the plus 7.5 number. I also played under 46.5 in this thing. It's kind of like Steven. I just think that the Bills are pretty beat up. And with that, it's going to be a lot of running. It's going to be a lot of trying to protect the ball. It's going to be a lot of trying to keep the Chiefs on the sideline. This is not really a weather game, but it's at least going to be ridiculously cold with enough breeze to where it could affect kind of long passes or like long kicks or anything like that. And so there's at least some of that plays into it as well. But at the end of the day, other side of a touchdown, I thought I feel pretty comfortable with the Chiefs. And then also, I don't see a scoring fest here. I don't see Rashee Rice going crazy again for another 130, anything like that. I think it's just going to be a game that we saw for the majority of Chiefs games so far this season. And the Bills playing a ton of, if it's not Cook, then Josh Allen doing it himself.
Yeah, there's only one total this week that I feel confident in, and it's under in this game, even at the number where it is right now, 44.
Isn't that wild to say, Adam, for a Mahomes-Allen game, by the way? Isn't that nuts?
It is not what past years would have suggested that you would be looking for. That is for certain, but this Joe Brady offense has been a run-heavy offense, and You look at what Kansas City has done, and yeah, they moved the ball very effectively last week against the Miami Dolphins, but that beaten up Miami defense was still able to hold them in the red zone. And Andy Reid has shown a propensity for two things this year. One, nuggies, and two, field goals. And so he's willing to take the three, and I think he's going to be continually willing to take the three in a game in which he's probably confident that Buffalo's run-heavy game plan is going to keep this game close throughout. So I don't want the side. I do want the under. And the one thing that I do want from a prop perspective is Matt mentioned James Cook. And if you go back to the first game that these teams played, by the way, I'm just letting everybody know the next 10 minutes after I say this are going to be about whether Kadarius Toney should have been called for offensive offside. But no, they're definitely not. James Cook right now, rush receive combined is 83.5. They, in the last game that they got together, James Cook ran it 10 times and was targeted 5 times. If you take that together, you see that in that last game, he had 141 yards on those 15 touches. And that's with Josh Allen running the ball 10 times in that game. I think you are live on anything that puts the ball in James Cook's hands repeatedly. 15 feels like a pretty reasonable number for a guy who has taken over as the clear number one back, and for a Kansas City team that we know Spags gonna blitz. If they're gonna blitz, then I feel confident there's also going to be some screen game in there to James Cook.
Yeah, one of the interesting, I think, looks at this one that you can pretty much, like, again, like we talk about same game parlays and we get it, whatever. I'd save the angry tweets or something, but like some people like to do them for fun. Some people think that actually there is an edge there. And I think there's some correlation between the under and rush attempts for the Bills overall. Now, whether that is Cook, whether that's Josh Allen, whether it's both, whether it's whatever, I think that there's some correlation there that you could put into like an SGP. I also think that there could be a correlation to the Chiefs and liking the Chiefs just overall. If you like the under, I feel like if you like the Bills, you probably like the over, because I think that you need the Bills to score a bunch in this game. I think that that's what the game plan that you're kind of envisioning here. Now, like while the Chiefs off defense is not that top 3 defense and on this ridiculously historic pace, like we were saying at the beginning of the year, over the second half, like, look, they're still like 13, 14, 15 in the various categories. It's not like they're a bad defense. They just kind of fell off a little bit over the course of the second half of the season from this like ridiculous pace that they were on. So I think that you've got to look at the Bills, and that the Bills figured out a way to get it done against this defense. They figured out a way to put some points on the board, and Patrick Mahomes and them are likely to be able to find some success against this defense. Y'all mentioned the injury report. We don't have the official one on Friday yet. All we can do is tell you what happened on Thursday. We highly recommend you go in and just type in Bills injury report into the Google machine if you want to look a little further. But what we can say, Benford DNP, Bernard DNP, Gabe Davis DNP, Taylor Rapp DNP, Spector DNP, Stephon Diggs on Thursday DNP. They're saying maybe it was just rest for a foot thing that he's kind of dealing with. And then you look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other guys, limited practices as well along the way. So it's just, Bills are just completely beat up here. So it's going to be like another like overcoming the odds type thing for this team. I liked them. I'm like with you, Steven. I have a 16-1 on them to win the AFC. I'm almost counting that ticket dead. I don't think they make it out of this week. If someone wanted to bet the Chiefs money line, I think it's fine. I think it's fine to bet the Chiefs money line. It wouldn't shock me if we're talking about this next week and the Chiefs won this thing by double digits. That wouldn't surprise me. Would it, Adam? Would that surprise you if we were talking about this game and we're saying like, wow, whatever? Like, would it shock you at all if this game was Chiefs 27-17 or something like that?
When I tell you that there's next to no outcome that I would believe is impossible for this game, yeah. I really, truly believe it, because both of these teams have shown you both sides of the coin all season long. Now, I would be very surprised, based on what you and I have already said, if the total was something like, if we had a 31-24, 33 to 20. I don't think that we're going to see a shit ton of points. Well, we'll take that out. I don't think we're going to see a ton of points.
What I've been told, Adam, is that everything is fair game except the F word. So say shit all you want, buddy.
Yeah, it's good. It's now the it's now
not
the
a lot of points.
It's now the Pat McAfee rule in media. It's like anything that they say on their show, you can now say, because like they made it normal. And so
hold on. Here go my sleeves. I'm ripping off my sleeves right now. We're going full McAfee. But Matt, to your point, I could be convinced of a 10-point Buffalo win. I could be convinced of a 10-point Kansas City win. The range of outcomes for me is as wide in this game as it is in any this week.
Any player props here out on the Chiefs side of things? It's really outside of Kelsey. It's just hard to know. I mean, do we go back to the Rashee Rice? Well, I guess is the big question. Like, did they figure out something and I'm calling it their bye week because they rested all their starters in week 18, that, hey, Rashee Rice can actually step up and be the dude. Like, Rashee Rice can actually be our like wide receiver one. Do we believe that there's any chance at all of any sort of repeat performance from Rashee Rice in this game?
Adam, any hard takes on that one?
I'm going to let the Rashee Rice thing sit because I think that's been discussed quite well. And Steven, if you want to go after it, that's fine. I'm going to give you a little bit of a long shot idea here and bet it appropriately if you decide it's for you. If you think that this Buffalo linebacking core in particular is so beaten up that they're not going to be able to defend anybody. However, you also believe that Travis Kelce is going to get a lot of attention. I'm going to submit for your consideration Justin Watson. And how about something like 40 plus receiving yards at plus 360 on Justin Watson? I think there's a chance to play the variance when it comes to how you think Kansas City will attack Buffalo and not have to get involved with, are they going to throw three guys at Travis Kelce?
Yeah, Matt, I'm a little concerned about betting inflated Rashee Rice numbers this week, knowing that he's probably going to see a lot of Rasul Douglas coming back from injury, who's been really good for Buffalo at corner this year. I'd be more likely to try and target, again, these injuries in the middle. That's what made me go Travis Kelce. I like Adam's angle because we've been kind of unsure who's going to get the most snaps at receiver outside of Rice for Kansas City. But in recent weeks, it has been Justin Watson in the 2 tight end sets and also still on the field in the 3 wide receiver sets. So I think that's a good look for Adam. On the Bills side, if Diggs is this banged up, and he's had a lot of games down the stretch with less than 50 receiving yards, then I almost have to, by default, go to Dalton Kincaid and look at what's available for him. And also with Gabe Davis out again, I like this Khalil Shakir kid. I think he's got some juice. I think he's shifty. I think he can separate. He had 105 yards in that, win the division game in week 18 against Miami. He had 3 for 31 and a touchdown against Pittsburgh last week. So I think he's very much a part of the game plan at this point for Buffalo. So, just kind of browsing our prop finder tool here for Khalil Shakir. He's sitting at 32.5 receiving yards, juice to the over on 2.5 receptions. Anytime touchdown's still going to be pretty decent at plus 330 available on Khalil Shakir. So that would be the guy outside of, at least in the passing game outside of Kincaid, I'd be looking at.
Let me shift back to Adams because I was just doing some research while you were talking there. So Adam, the 17 and a half receiving yards is the actual number on Watson. As you said, you mentioned even some alts on him. What do you think Justin Watson's average depth of target is?
I'm going to say ADOT on Justin Watson is about 17 or 18.
18.9 yards.
Yeah. Why do you think I'm giving you an alt receiving number? Yeah.
So Justin Watson. So like his number is 17 and a half and his average depth of target is 18.9 yards down the field. So you basically just need him to get open once. I mean, like to hit that number. And then if you, again, if he gets open twice, you're going to hit an alt number. So that's basically what we're looking at for him. That's absurd. Like just for comparative purposes, guys, like Jamar Chase's ADOT is 9.1. And it's like Jamar friggin' Chase. And like Justin Watson's ADOT is 18.9 yards. Like that's what he's used for. They just huck it down the field to him, and all you need him to get open once.
Week 17 against Cincinnati, 3 targets, 1 catch for 41 yards.
yeah, there it is. Like, again, that's what he does in this game.